The first to bring you the hottest DJ gear on the planet. We are agiprodj.com.
What's up everybody, Ty from AGI Pro DJ, and today we are taking a look at the Pioneer DDJ-SZ. It is Pioneer's flagship DJ controller, rolling in at just under 2,000 bucks. This thing is large format. It's a 4-channel Pioneer mixer in the center, large format CDJs, large jog wheels, RGB pads for all kinds of controls, hot cues, loops, rolls. This is their premier controller. It's the big brother to the SX. Let's take a closer look. All right, everybody, so let's take a closer look at the DDJ-SZ controller. First of all, this thing runs on Serato DJ software. There's no CD slots in it. It does not play off of USB media. So a Windows or Mac laptop is required to run the Serato DJ software, which is included. As you can see here in the middle, let's go ahead and just cover the mixer section first. Typical crossfader. You've got some tension adjustment for your crossfader. 4 channels, 1, 2, 3, 4, are assignable to 4 decks within the Serato DJ software. Like a Pioneer mixer, you've got the ability to have this set for through, which means when you move the crossfader, nothing happens, or you can assign it to A or B, so which would be the left or right side. You've got Q monitoring for each of the channels independently, and then your monitoring mixer control is over here, levels as well as headphone mixing, so you've got Q and master right there. Something that the SZ does not have that the higher-end Pioneer DJ mixers have is split Q and mono control. That is not available on the SZ. So moving right up, you can see the sound color effects. You've got 4 of them: echo, jet, pitch, and filter, and any of those effects are available to be assigned full-time across all 4 channels, as well as the master and the microphone. So you can set it for echo, or you could set it for jet, and you could apply the jet to both channels of audio and the master out, so you could do some wicked crazy stuff with that. Microphone channel, the DDJ-SZ has 2 microphone inputs, and this is the mic off and then on and then talk over. This LED will flash when it's on talk over. There's your mic 1 gain, your mic 2 gain, and then you have a high and a low EQ that you can use to adjust bass and treble for both the mic channels. And then right here you can see you've got sampler volume, which is nice to have if you're using the SP6 sampler that's built into the software that you have controls with on the pads, which we'll cover in just a minute. You have an independent channel of sampler volume, which is fantastic to have. Great, excellent control. So you've got a 3-band EQ for each of the channels. It's an infinite kill EQ, or +6, so you can cut everything all the way out. You've got independent trim adjustment for all 4 channels. LED VU meters for each of the independent channels, as well as stereo for the master. Very cool. And then up here you can see your input selection. Now the DDJ-SZ, in addition to being a Serato DJ controller, also lets you connect line in, so you could have audio coming from a CD player, a CDJ. You can have phono in, so you can have turntables connected up to it. And in addition to having just audio pass through those turntables, you can also connect CDJs or turntables and use either HID mode with a compatible CD player or timecode with vinyl, and you can take control of 2 of the decks within the Serato DJ software if you had 2 turntables or 2 CDJs set up, and that control is set up through these inputs here. So one feature you'll notice that the SZ has that is different than other Serato DJ controllers is this USB section here for AB, and what you'd find corresponding on the back of the SZ is that it's got 2 USB ports. So I can be plugged into A, and the guy that's coming on after me could come in and plug into the B port. He can take control of a couple of the decks. He can start playing. I can unplug my laptop, and then he can take control of all 4 of the decks. So seamless switching between DJs, it's a feature only previously available using an SL4 box or a rain mixer that's got dual USBs on it. So this is the first Serato DJ controller that's available that has dual USB ports. A very cool feature there. So go down the last strip here to the side. This is your master output control. You can cue the master out. As I mentioned, there's dual LED VU meters for output monitoring. You've got independent booth monitoring gain control right here. So nice thing is you've got master out, you've got booth out control, and you've got headphone control. So there's a lot of different controls you have to be able to listen to your mix. And this is another feature that's unique to the SZ, and that's the oscillator control. So what they've done is they've built in some oscillator effects. There's a noise generator, a cymbal, a siren, and then the air horn. And you have individual volume control and then parameter control for these oscillators, and these can be fired off using this set of controls here. And then the oscillator assigned, you can route it through the master channel or to channel 4 or to channel 3. All right, lastly on the mixer section is the effects assignment, and as you can see here, for each of the 4 channels you have the ability to assign effects 1 or 2 or both. Effects 1 is on the left deck, effects 2 is over on the right deck. And if you have them selected, then you can go ahead and you can engage the effects. And then there's all kinds of different controls for choosing and assigning effects. You can set up so you have 3 individuals, or there's the super effects where one of them will actually set all 3. So inside of the Serato DJ software, you can definitely get into more of the effects, and we'll cover those in another video. But that's how the effects section on the mixer ties onto the deck side. So let's just go ahead and cover the deck top to bottom. As you can see here under here, needle search. Basically just like needle dropping on a turntable with a piece of vinyl. When you scroll your finger across this, it basically scrolls you through the track. You have the ability to browse and then load your tracks for each one of your active decks using this infinite rotary and push down here. This changes your panel, so which view that you're in the Serato DJ software. Sensor controls, if you've played a mix and you know there's an F-bomb coming, you can always press sensor. It's going to flip that backwards, and then when you let go of sensor, it's going to be where it would have actually left off in the track. So you're not reversing and then playing forward. It's going to reverse and then pick up where it left off. Slip mode is another really cool mode where if you scratch and then let go, the track's going to be left off where you would have been. So basically it's kind of like with the loop roll function, where if you do a loop roll, it does your stutter or your roll, but then when you let go of the loop, the track's already jumped forward as you know, as far as you've actually been looping or using the slip mode. More browser controls. You have a back button for navigating back and forth within there, and then you have the ability to this is your load prepare section, so you can drop that into your prepare deck. Another feature that the SZ has that the SX did not is jog sensitivity, and you've got the ability to go from a light sensitivity to a really heavy sensitivity. As you can see, the jog wheel doesn't spin anymore. So depending on how you want your deck set up, you can adjust your sensitivity. And you also have start-stop time, so you can adjust the start speed as well as the break. I honestly wish that this was 2 knobs like it is on the CDJ-2000, but again, that's the difference between $2,000 for a controller versus $2,000 each for CDJ-2000s and then a DJM-900 Nexus. So this would have been really cool to have the ability with separate start time or start speed as well as break speed, but then you have to do your adjustments there. You have the ability to turn on and off key lock using this button, and then using the shift button you can set your tempo range using this control here. Plus and minus pitch control adjustments. This is your beat grid adjustments, where you can actually adjust the beat grid. You can slide or shift the beat grid around, and then you've got shifted controls for setting a grid and then clearing a grid. On this deck, you see here it's deck 1 or 3, so when you select 1, you've got the ability to control deck 1. When you press 3, everything changes and your RGB pads switch over to your cue points, and you have the ability to control deck 3. And then same on the other side, it's deck 2 and deck 4. As I mentioned, you have the shift button here, which any of these commands that are in this highlighted white bar, these are all shifted commands. And then you've got your sync control. Love it or hate it, it's here. If you don't like it, don't use it. But a lot of DJs are using sync because they have the ability to match up faster. It's really neither here nor there. Just because you have the sync button doesn't make you a DJ. And then you've got your standard play, pause, and cue controls that are seen on every Pioneer CDJ and their controller. So these are real familiar controls that everybody's used to. Now you've got your pad modes, and as you can see here, you've got hot cues, which lets you assign hot cues into these pads. These are RGB pads, and you can adjust in the software what color this pad ends up being. So you could make this blue, red, yellow, pink, green. That's all user definable. Your rolls, and then slicer and a sampler. So as I mentioned over on the mixer section, you've got a separate sampler volume for the SP6. And then when you're in sampler section, you can trigger your samples using these pads here. Shift controls, you've got a queued loop, saved loop, slicer loop, and then your velocity sampler. So you can switch the modes that the pads actually function in depending on how you have that shift key activated. And then in your loops, they're right here. Auto loop is right here. And then you've got loop shifting, so you can cut the loop in half or double the loop. You can set manual in and out points. And then you can do re-looping by, again, holding down shift and pressing the out button. And then you've got some parameter controls that give you the ability to modify whatever is selected within the pad mode. So that is the actual CDJ side of the DDJ-SZ. So as you can see with that little shot, one thing I really like about the SZ is how clean the front panel is. The only thing that you have on the front panel is the headphone jack, and they've got a 1/4 inch and an 1/8 inch on there. And then you have the crossfader curve adjustment. That's the only two things that are actually on the face of the mixer. All the crossfader assigns, all the curve adjustment, everything is moved elsewhere. So I'm really happy that Serato and Pioneer decided to keep the front panel of the SZ clean. So only headphone jack and crossfader curve adjustment. So here's the back panel of the Pioneer DDJ-SZ. Now one thing I really like that they did with the back panel is the AC input. No more wall warts, no inline wall wart, no transformer to have plugged in on the back. They actually gave you an IEC in, which means the transformer is inside of the unit. Nice job on that, Pioneer. Recessed power switch, so it's difficult to turn it on and off or bump it and turn it on and off. As I mentioned when we were discussing the mixer section, this is your A and B inputs for USB. So you could be plugged in here. The person that goes on after you could plug in here, and then you could unplug, and he could carry on. There'd be seamless transitioning between DJs on a controller, which is a first. Now, as I mentioned also that there are 2 mic inputs. When I was going over the mixer section, you've got an XLR 1/4 inch combo, as well as a 1/4 inch for mic 2. And then we also covered on the mixer section all the different inputs and configurations that you can have on this controller, and there's a lot. As I mentioned, you could connect CD players into these channels. You can use phono inputs, so you can have turntables connected. You can play just regular vinyl. You can use time code coming into the controller and then use it to actually control decks within the Serato DJ software. You've got ground lugs, 2 of them, if you're connecting turntables, so they're real close here to the phono jacks. So you could have 2 turntables connected via phono, and then you've got a ground plug there if your decks are not internally grounded. It's got a booth out, nice thing, nice TRS outputs on the booth, so another feature found on high-end Pioneer mixers. Way to go on that, to include that feature on a controller. Master out, which is nice if for some reason the connection you're connecting into is RCA. You could go out of these. You could use these for a separate recording if you wanted to use an external recorder, or you could record your mix within the Serato DJ software. And then lastly are the pair of XLR balanced master out. So again, nice job, pro grade controller, nice balanced XLR connection. And I did say lastly, but there's also a Kensington lock in case this is installed somewhere. You can use the Kensington lock and then tie it down into the DJ booth to prevent it from being stolen. So that's the back panel. All right, everybody, thanks for watching our overview video. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching the whole video. We can get pretty long-winded, but it's because there's so much to talk about, and a lot of people don't have the ability to put their hands on this gear first, and that's why you're watching the video. We're your virtual showroom, and we're happy to do it. Now, there's a lot of things that I touched on during the overview of the controller, the effects section, the ability to switch DJs in and out using the dual USB inputs, and then the ability to use turntables to control the Serato DJ software, CDJs using HID mode to control external decks in the software. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, one, that way you'll get notified when we put new videos up. But then you can also check out our YouTube channel and you'll see the other videos covering the other features that we wanted to show you more in depth on the Serato DJ controller, the Pioneer DDJ-SZ. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. If you're looking to pick one of these up, just click on the link down below in the video. That'll take you right to the product page. You can also check us out on the web, agiprodj.com. You can hit us up toll-free on the phone, 866-776-6499, or you can email us directly, sales@agiprodj.com, and one of the crew will get back to you very quickly during business hours or the next business day. On behalf of everybody here at AGI Pro DJ, I am Ty. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Again, subscribe to YouTube, watch all of our videos, learn more about this gear, and we hope you'll buy from us. Thanks for checking it out.